Welcome to Truth by Billie Beene. I have a subscribe button in the lower right corner of my screen. Thanks for like, subscribe, and share, and for hitting the like button. That helps my channel to grow. Today's date, April 17, 2025. Time in Texas, about 7 a.m. Some of the things we'll cover. We had a G4 geomagnetic storm, and now we're tonight a G2. We have good news that a U.S. pastor kidnapped in South Africa with ties to Texas has been rescued. And we have this: President Trump is increasing the tariffs on some Chinese products to 245%. Pentagon leaks, and the U.S. cuts money to NATO and the UN. Some of my sources are God in the Bible, Patriot Subscriber, Texas Weather Center, Space Weather, Suspicious Observers, Hal Turner, New York Times, ABC News, Bild. That's a German paper. So let's get started. So from Texas Weather Center, Thursday through Sunday, some areas in Texas will have some thunderstorms, and many beginning Friday through Sunday will have heavy rain and hail. Tornadoes are not predicted. So we have Wednesday and Thursday, West Texas, Central Texas, some areas with fog, and we could have rogue thunderstorms in East Texas Wednesday and Thursday, and possibly hail. Saturday, Del Rio to Austin to East Texas, thunderstorms and golf ball size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Sunday, College Station to Houston to East Texas, we could have some thunderstorms. So that'll impact our Easter celebration. So that's going on. We have this from Space Weather. Wednesday night, we had a G4 geomagnetic storm. Tonight, Thursday night, we're to have a G1 to a G2. And Wednesday night, auroras were seen in France, Poland, and New Zealand, and also Canada, and extreme northern U.S. states. From Telegraph, we have this. We've been hearing a lot about plane crashes, helicopter crashes. It's now coming out that 29% of the U.S. people believe it's unsafe to fly. And we have this coming out. President Trump just increased tariffs on some Chinese goods, and I believe this includes some pharmaceuticals, including fentanyl, up to 245%. So that's going on. And we say, way to go, President Trump. And we have this. I have this from a Patriot Subscriber. Tuesday night, we did have a G1, G2 geomagnetic storm, who says, I developed terrible migraine headaches. When is this going to be over? Well, Wednesday night, we had a G4, and tonight, Thursday, is predicted to be a G1, G2. So we can pray that this is over soon. I have a Patriot Subscriber. I think the U.S. should just take the land that China owns in the U.S. They have stolen enough from us. And I agree. So that's going on. And we have this from the Times. Okay. So recently I put out information. My former pastor, Josh McGee at First Baptist Church in Clute, Texas, now pastoring at Calvary Baptist in New Braunfels, Texas. He and his wife Jen had visited South Africa a few years ago, and they personally knew the pastor Josh Sullivan. He works at a Fellowship Baptist in Tennessee. He's been a pastor in South Africa since about 2018. And last Thursday night, he was holding a prayer meeting, and 4 armed men burst into his church in South Africa. In front of, there were about 20 to 30 people there, including his wife and 6 children, and held him at gunpoint and kidnapped him, and also stole his vehicle. I think it was a Rover. So that was last Thursday. So then by Tuesday, the South African Special Unit that deals with people who have been kidnapped, and when a ransom is involved, and a ransom had been made to the family. So this South African Police Unit, Hawks, located what's a criminal safe house and had intel that he was being held there. They pull up to the house, and there's the pastor's vehicle, the Rover. 3 men inside that vehicle got out and started firing on the South African police, and the South African police shot those 3 men dead. There was a 4th man inside the vehicle who miraculously was not hurt, and that was Pastor Josh Sullivan. So from Thursday to Tuesday, I believe God had his hand on Pastor Josh Sullivan, and we can report he has been rescued and united with his family. Praise God. And another heartwarming story, also demonstrating the goodness of God. We had a little boy about 2 years old near Seligman, Arizona, who disappeared from his home about 5 p.m. Monday this week, April 14. 2 years old, 16 hours later, and 7 miles from his home. A local rancher, Scotty Dunnan, was getting ready to go to town when he looked over and saw his dog, Buford. He's a combination, a golden retriever mix, walking along the fence line with a little 2-year-old blonde boy. And he had heard about the missing boy. He was rescued. The little boy is unhurt, but the mystery continues. How does a 2-year-old survive 16 hours and walk 7 miles from his home? So we can say God is good. And now we have this. Yeah, President Trump rejects sending more weapons and money to Ukraine. Zelensky had requested the U.S. To send $50 billion worth of weapons. Well, we know Zelensky continues to steal billions from the U.S. and sells most of the U.S. weapons on the black market. President Trump said no. And President Trump is going to cut delivery of weapons to Ukraine. And President Trump continues to negotiate with President Putin. And this is detailed in the German newspaper Bild. And we have this from New York Prepper. Yeah, yesterday we were having on the U.S. nuclear radio system Sky Master Messages. This is when the U.S. military is arming and detailing targets for our planes. Also yesterday, it's coming out that Israel had wanted to do a massive strike on Iran, and President Trump declined to assist Israel and called off that strike by Israel on Iran. Now we know that this week is Easter week, so striking another nation is better, I believe, to put it off to the future. Now also, yesterday President Putin came out and admitted that Russia had satellites in the sky that could launch nukes. I'm not sure if the two were related, but that did happen yesterday. So it's good to keep our mind on Jesus Christ, I believe, in this Easter week, and put off any type of war activities. From ABC News, we've had 3 people now put on administrative leave from the Pentagon based on investigations into unauthorized leaks. And these individuals were associated with the staff of Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, and include Dan Caldwell, Darren Selnick, and Colin Carroll. So that's going on. President Trump apparently despises leaks. And we have this. The U.S. is to close 30 embassies and consulates, including UK, France, Germany, Greece, Italy, South Korea, Somalia, Iraq, Japan, Canada. Now, consulates are different than embassies. They're smaller, temporary, and usually located in tourist cities and foreign nations, while the embassy is permanent and generally located in the foreign nation's capital city. But the U.S. is closing 30 embassy and consulates in many NATO nations. I suspect in the NATO nations it's closing consulates in the tourist cities. And in some foreign nations, it's closing all consulates and embassies, I believe. And I'll continue to monitor this. It's good to notice where is the U.S. closing embassies. And we have this. The U.S. State Department is now putting together paperwork to cut money to NATO and the UN by 50%. And I saw a story about the WHO this morning regarding their new pandemic agreement. And I verified again, President Trump wisely took us out of WHO, and we look forward to the day that he takes us completely out of NATO and the UN. It's good to pray for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.